There's more people coming in. If we run out of chairs here, there is a monitor set up in the other room that you can watch everything. And if you want to ask a question, run in and wave your hand and we'll let you. Carol, I did monitor everyone that came in. There's no firemen, there's no paramedics. It's okay, we're safe. And you should also be pleased, other than a party, this is the first time I've ever seen every publisher of a gay magazine here in one room. So, I don't think that we really need to have a large introduction. I think everyone, if they have not had an opportunity to meet our speaker, has heard of her or read about her. Again, we want to welcome everyone. I'll turn the rest of the evening over to Carol. She'll speak for a few minutes, answer any questions that you might have. I'd like to welcome CarolEnglehart.
Good evening. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm very glad to be here. And I've got a little bit of a cold, so if I'm not talking real loud, just tell me if you can't hear me. The film that you've been watching tonight is done by a friend of mine. Her name is Kathy Kay. Kathy was a nurse in a hospital and took care of AIDS patients. And Kathy has made this film for kids from grades 6 through 12 to inform them about AIDS. And as I was talking to Bill Smith, the highest risk group now are high school and children, because they feel that they're immortal. They feel that they won't catch a disease and it's going to happen to somebody else and not them. And this is a film made to teach them that anybody can get AIDS, not just the gay community, but anybody. I had a good friend whose son this last year, when I was in the gambling campaign, they worked for me. In fact, they were on my board. And the whole time that they were with me, their son was dying of AIDS. But the stigma was so terrible that they didn't want to tell anybody. And they made excuses as though he had an infection of his blood, or he had this, or he had that. And his mother was crying, and so anyway, he died. But before he died, about 3 weeks before he died, he finally told his parents that he had AIDS and that he was gay. And it was really wonderful, the love that surrounded him when he finally admitted who he was and what he had. And it happened to be that his parents belonged to a local church here, and everyone was so supportive of them. And I went to his funeral, and I don't know, probably a lot of you were there, but it was really a neat experience for me, and really showed me what love can do for people. And that I know that I've read several articles in the last week in some of your publications about me, and and I know that I'm somewhat controversial, but I want to let you know, and Greg and I had lunch, and I told him too, that I may not agree with the lifestyle that you live, but you may not agree with my lifestyle either. But that doesn't mean that there can't be a love between people and a caring between people. And that's the most important thing, is not to judge people and not to discriminate to the point where there's hatred. Everybody in this country should be allowed the freedom of choice of what they believe, but not with animosity. And that's what I'm here to tell you, that I have no animosity towards you, and I hope that you, by the end of this evening, can see that the reason I was elected to council and why I ran was because I care about this community. I love the desert. I've been here since I was 4 years old, and I've seen it grow, and I've seen it growing now into a very powerful community in California. We are probably the largest and fastest growing county in Riverside County and in the nation. And we have Coachella Valley Association of Governments here, which is working on a regional basis to make things better. We have a mountain conservancy, and a national scenic area, which Jim has been very supportive of and helped us in Cathedral City to preserve our mountains. So I think that if we all work together, we can make this valley a lot better. Thank you. Now, go ahead, put me through the ringer. Are there any questions of me? Who's going to be first?
I've got to know why you shot down the gambling card parlor. I've been to the card parlor in Bell Gardens, and I've been to Bell Gardens before it was there. And everything that you came out with in your campaign.
Well, I was very concerned about the addiction of gambling. I wasn't concerned about gambling for recreation. I think all of us have gambled sometime. I mean, I know I've gone to Las Vegas and pulled slot machines too. What I was concerned about is that their people are becoming addicted to gambling like never before because it's so available. I brought out a lot of statistics in that campaign as far as an Asian mafia that invades card parlors, which George will agree with me on. Maybe not his card parlor, but it's happening all over the United States. And I didn't want to see Cathedral City have to deal with those kind of problems.
Las Vegas has gambling wide open.
That's right.
Less sex problems, less police problems. We've got it all. You're driving everything underground here in this town.
Well,
I think you're very wrong in what you're doing.
Well, that's your opinion. But the voters voted to keep it out. You know, they had a choice on what they wanted, and they voted to keep it out. One group. But the Indians are going to bring it here, so there's nothing I can do about that.
Do you feel it's your responsibility as a member of the City Council to legislate morals?
No, I don't think that I am here to legislate morals, but I think I'm here to bring out problems like the issue of pornography. It's not really, to me, so much of a moral problem, which that enters into it, but it's a public health and safety problem in a lot of these places. And I think that we need to have controls on them. And I think that there's a lot of anonymous sex going on and a lot of things going on in these peep shows that is spreading AIDS. And I think that we have to make sure that it's controlled enough so that it's not a safety hazard.
I would comment on that response that you have to that question. If you look through the gay tabloids, you'll see all the underground clubs forming now because they've closed down the bathhouses in different places within Los Angeles. And this community is very large, and you don't even see, probably in my estimate, 1/4 of the visibility is all that's showing here of the gay community. Not in this room particularly, but what you see as a public individual, as a non-homosexual or heterosexual person. In creating these stigmas of putting the control by abstinence or limiting it to certain functions, it still is generating those same groups. And I think that morally that is wrong. When you realize that fact of what's happening in LA, to come out here and do it in that respect. You have businesses that keep an eye on things. You have a point where you have a focal view on it. And that's being obliterated or limited to one segment. This fight with the bookstores. The other thing is moving everything to I-10, a red light district. How do you feel about the red light district?
Well, I've always been concerned about a red light district, and when they were talking about red light districts, they were talking about putting it into 1 square mile right around here. And and also, and Bob Smith and I talked about this before, the litigation is going on in Cathedral City right now, and we're really limited to some of the questions I can answer, but I don't want to see a red light district. I don't want to see that. But I also don't want to see these bookstores right in the heart of town either. So what I would hope too is that your community would keep an eye on things so that, you know, it is not a safety hazard. I mean, if, like what you're saying, things are going underground, then I would hope that you would try and keep it a safe place so that AIDS wasn't being spread.
To me, it's safer when you can inform the people, but when they go underground, there's no way of reaching them in that respect.
Well,
and that's what we're creating, putting this moral stance on it. This community has never created a problem within this city. Cathedral City, the amount of gay people that come out here in the holidays is extremely high compared to anywhere else in the United States. It's generated the business for the fast foods to open up, and likewise it's filtered all the way down to making large subdivisions. I was the purchase agent at Cathedral City Hall for 3.5 years. I was some of the
I
things
thought I
that went out
recognized you.
behind there and what's out in the public are two different things, as any business generally runs.
Mm-hmm.
But this community was developed off of a lot of gay business. Without it, I think it would still be back 5, 10, 20 years. And it is the last stronghold in the valley as far as affordable homes. And now we have the primary care center here. We were one of 3 that opened up. And that makes it a very opportune area. The gay people will be here. And it will be nice if we can all work together.
Mm-hmm. I agree
But
with you.
by forcing things to be limited and go down, the market will dictate how it exists.
Well, pornography has been shown to be detrimental not to just one group, but to a lot of different groups. And there's a lot of statistics out there that prove that there are people, you know, there's people who can do anything. There's people who can drink and drink all they want and not be an alcoholic. There are people that can look at pornography and not become addicted. There's people that can gamble and not become addicted. But we're living in a society where addiction is becoming very prevalent. And there are people who are very addicted to pornography. And those are the people that go out and rape and murder, and not just me or our child, but you. And it's something that we all have to be very concerned with. It's not just, you know, because your freedom is being limited, but it's also because you're concerned about your friends, and you don't want to make so much available to people who do have that addiction, and that's what I'm concerned about. Yes.
You had said that earlier when you were talking to us that you shouldn't discriminate to a point of hatred.
Mm-hmm.
How far should we discriminate?
Well, I guess that's up to each person. You know, I mean, people need to be educated too, don't they?
Right, but as far as a government, I mean,
Well, we can't legislate our feelings. You know, no matter what ordinances, what laws are in place, that's not going to change my feeling or change your feeling. And we're all protected under the Constitution of this country, hopefully. And that's one great thing about this country, is that we have the ability to feel and to feel freely. And no amount of legislation is ever going to change that we have.
Carol?
Yes.
Okay, I'm hearing 2 messages here from you. Number 1, you're saying that you're against pornography. Number 2 is health factor. Which is it you're concerned about?
Both. I'm concerned, one, with the addiction of pornography. That I'm concerned about. And and what those people do. It's been shown that addicted personalities who get involved with pornography will pretty soon be desensitized to the pornography, to what they're seeing. And very often they will try to imitate what they have seen to get more of a thrill. And that's where you get the molestation of children. That's where you get the serial killers. One of the things that I thought was really interesting in the national...
Why don't we do away with TV? Because everything you're talking about...
Well, that's fine with me. You could do away with TV. That's fine with me. I don't watch it either. Yes.
There are people in recovery from their addictions, and there are groups that suggest that if someone who tries to control the addictive behavior, that they cannot do that. My point is that by legislating more and more controls and trying to control the behavior of others, that this does not get the required or the wanted response, that it does go underground more, it becomes more manipulative, and I'm reiterating what the gentleman back there said, that by trying to control, all you'll do is make it worse.
Do you understand what kind of controls I'm talking about?
Would you explain that?
Uh-huh. What I suggested is that in some of these peep show places, I guess I have not been in the Hidden Joy, but I guess a lot of people that I know have come and told me about it, but I haven't been in there. And but what they suggested was that the lights were turned up, so it wasn't so dark in there. that there were regular inspections by the health department, you know, that the rugs were cleaned, that the doors came off of, now that was, Greg and I didn't agree on that one, but we agreed on the other one, that the doors would come off, that the holes would be, that holes wouldn't be allowed between the walls, that like the Hidden Joy now is putting steel reinforcements between the walls, that the anonymous sex part that's going on in these businesses would be cut way down, and that literature would be presented on aids when they walked in the door. And those are the kind of controls that I'm asking for, that they have regular, at least regular inspections by the health department.
Do I understand you from an earlier statement that were it not for AIDS, that you would have no objection to anonymous sex?
Well, I never considered it before. Was not something really on my mind until the AIDS issue came up, really. I mean, you know, 15, 20 years ago, who would have thought that having sex with anybody, whether you were gay or heterosexual, that you would die from that? Who would ever have thought about that? And I certainly didn't. And but now they do. They die. And that's the problem. And did you read in the Desert Sun the other day about the statistics of people who are not using safe sex? It was in the Desert Sun. I don't know who wrote it, but it was a very interesting article about the percentages of people, men especially, who were just ignoring it. And it's rising. And I went to a State of the Valley. Huh?
Straight or gay?
Both. Both. It was a really, in fact, I wanted to bring it tonight and I couldn't find it when I walked out, but I was just astounded that people are, and that's what I was saying before, sometimes people get desensitized. They hear it so much that they think, oh, well, you know, it's not going to happen to me, and then they go on. Yeah.
At the last council meeting, Mayor Hillary had asked the person representing Shelter from the Storm what are the highest reasons why women are battered, and I believe the top of the list was alcohol, drugs, and he had also asked about pornography, Mayor Hillary, and that was third or fourth on the list.
Mm-hmm.
So there's other things that lead to rape and incest or whatever.
Absolutely.
Besides pornography.
Mm-hmm.
And Mayor Hillary had asked that question, putting that guy on the spot, you know, because of the issue that was up on the council at the pornography deal. And it came out that drugs and alcohol were on top of the list, and pornography was a little bit lower.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's right in there.
Right.
Yeah, great.
I would like, we discussed it, but for everyone else, if you could tell us about your relationship with Lou Sheldon.
Oh, I figured that was going to come up. Do you want me to start from the beginning? Do you want me to explain it how I explained it to you, or you want me to do a short version?
The short version.
Short version. Okay. When I decided that I thought that people needed to be informed on both sides of the gambling issue, I called about 5 or 6 different groups in California because I had never been in politics before. I didn't understand what was going on. I had 3 kids and I didn't have any money really. And so Lou happened to be a person who called me back on the phone. Now I guess it's been 3 years ago now, Lou was just starting his movement and he wasn't real involved with that. And I don't know if you'll believe me or not, but Lou came down here very unobtrusively, and he listened to some of the meetings and said, I'll help you. I'll help you in the fact that I'll help you with the fair political practices. I'll help you by setting up a nonprofit organization, and he'll help me in the educational part of politics. And that was Lou's involvement with me. And Lou left, and really, he wasn't even here at the end of the gambling campaign for the victory party or anything. And so he did give me, you know, some money for a down payment for my office and things like that. But after that, there was no more involvement. So, you know, I know that you have a tremendous amount of opposition to Lou, and I understand that. But I have to say that I was sued by George Hardy for the Fair Political Practices 3 times. I still have a suit pending up there. I had no idea how to deal with these people, and he taught me how to do that. And so that was a great help for me. There was nobody else around that would do that. I was also sued. I had to go for 13.5 hours worth of depositions. I still have a $6,000 bill on that. So that's where Lou came in to help me. Yes?
You're talking about getting rid of the anonymous sex because you think that that will get rid of AIDS.
I don't think it's going to get rid of AIDS, but it might help a little.
Instead of fighting against the bookstores, the bathhouses, whatever, why don't you put the money into education, into informing more people, especially school-age children, so they realize this as they're growing up about the dangers of sex nowadays, and with the addiction with pornography, you spend the money in counseling and not trying to fight it, because you cannot put your morals across on somebody. It's just never going to happen. And like Robert was saying, it's all going to go underground and make things worse.
That's a good idea. I mean, that's a good suggestion.
Carol?
Yes. Oh, wait a minute.
I wanted to answer that. What's going to happen is you're looking at a very small, minute subculture of gay life. This is not the average gay person that is doing this. What is going to happen if you close all of the bookstores, if you close bathhouses, you're going to put them in the parks. These are going to come into contact with 13 and 14-year-old children. This is sad.
Well, you know what? There's something that I read the other day. It's already in the parks.
Well,
No, but I mean in the, yeah, so I mean it's there already.
Oh yeah, but you have to change the people's habits. You can't just put them out
Well, let
because
me
they'll
tell
go
you
somewhere
something.
else.
You can't put them out anyway. It's against the law. You cannot eliminate those businesses.
By putting money into counseling and different things, you might change a few of those people. You aren't going to change them just by closing the doors on these establishments. They'll go somewhere else.
But what do you think about at least regulating them and educating inside the bookstores?
I would rather see them in the bookstore where you have to be 18 years old or older to get in than I would seeing them in the parks, those people.
But you do agree with regulations on...
To some extent, yes. I'd have to know the regulations.
Just like a heterosexual business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, gays are not the only people that go in these bookstores. I mean, we know that. There's a lot of different people that go in these bookstores, and it needs to be regulated, I think. That's just my opinion. Yes.
When you were elected, you understand that you're to represent all the people within your constituency. Gay people make up a rather large population in Cathedral City. As an elected official, what do you intend to do to further more rights on the city level for your gay constituency?
Well, we have, before I was on the council, I think we had the first anti-discrimination law in the Valley. Is that correct? Yeah.
If there was a movement to change the anti-discrimination movement tomorrow, on which side would you stand and why?
Oh, do you have to ask me that? Well, I'll tell you. I believe that we are, as I said, protected by the constitutional rights of this country. Now, don't sigh at me. Just let me finish. I know I said I believe. I think all of us are. I hope so. Doesn't it say that in the Constitution?
No.
But let me ask you this question. Okay, let me ask you this question. If I was working for you guys, both of you, okay, and you had somebody come into your business or whatever, and who was gay, okay, not because he was gay, but because maybe he was a better worker than I was, or maybe you thought he was a better person than I was, or for whatever reason, and you let me go, okay, and you hired him. Would it be fair for me to come and say to you that you were discriminating against me?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, but on a legal basis, would that happen?
Yes, totally legal.
Well, see, I don't agree with that. I think that's your choice to be able to say, and not because he was, but it's the perception. I mean, a lot of people are not hired or fired because they're not good workers. How are we to be able to judge what happens in a business or a housing situation or whatever? When those people in Eagle Canyon were put out of their homes, there were 2,000 people before them on a waiting list. Now, they were given first priority. But, I mean, housing is an issue that is so complex and so much. How can you say, absolutely say for absolutely certain that you are being discriminated because of what you are? How can you say that? I don't see how you can say that.
There's many different languages.
I mean, discrimination is not going to be legislated out. It hasn't been.
How are you going to vote on that
I don't
particular
have to vote on
question?
it. I don't have to vote
On
on it.
repeal?
Huh?
On repeal or keeping the
Well, I
anti-discrimination?
don't think that, I mean, this is my own opinion, and I have that right. I don't think AB 101 is a good bill. I really don't. I don't think it's a good bill. I think there's a lot of problems in there that allows people to sue and use the courts for themselves.
I'm bringing it down to your city level, not the
Well, I
state
don't have
level,
to-
but the city level.
It's already there, and I doubt anybody's going to repeal it. Wait, let me get somebody who hasn't, yeah, over there in the hat. You know what, I'm supposed to repeat your questions, but my voice is going to go, so I'm just going to hope you talk
I know that you
loud.
can repeat my question as much as I want to make a statement.
Okay.
As a 47-year-old man who's experienced benign influence of the heterosexual community on gays and felt it very deeply over the years, I see in you, and I'm sorry for this, but I see in you, again, another benign influence, a packaging that suggests to many people that you have very easygoing, very temperate ways as regards civil rights. But what I hear you say is an assault on me as an individual and my right to make a determination in my own life as regards sex and what I want to do. And that I deeply resent.
I didn't say that's your right. I never said that that wasn't your right. Yes.
Earlier you spoke about starting to care for each other regardless of our choice of lifestyle or choices. Are you willing to facilitate that by appearing at Gay Pride and showing your support for us as people?
I don't know, you have to wait till the time comes.
2 weeks.
Go ahead.
Okay, you made a statement in your opening statement saying that you didn't, I don't know if the word was, that you didn't agree with our lifestyle. Do you disagree with blacks or Hispanics, or I don't know if anybody, at least nobody I know has chosen this lifestyle. As homosexual, the only choice I made was to live a lie or be myself. I chose to be myself. This is not a choice. This is not anything that we have any choice about. It's just something that we are, period. So you're agreeing or disagreeing is ridiculous. It just shows you don't understand what the situation is. The other thing that you mentioned was choice. Everyone should have a choice. You've said that several times. Apparently we should have choices as long as they don't disagree with your moral values in pornography or in gambling. And it sounded like, you know, the movie Reefer Madness. You need to smoke a joint and you're going to become addicted to everything. That's why, you know, and you're stating all these statistics, and I'd like to see the basis of the statistics rather than just a Reefer Madness type mentality.
I wish I had brought them with
I
me.
wish
You didn't
too,
bring any,
because
did you?
then you might be a little more believable.
I'll tell you what, I'll give some to Greg, and then you come by and get them, okay? I've got a stack of stuff, and I'll bring them to Greg, and that'll back me up on my sources. Okay? Yes.
It came to be knowledge that in the latter part of April of 1991 that you had a luncheon before 60 ladies at the Rancho Mirage Country Club in which you made derogatory comments concerning gays and gay rights. And I'd like to know if you'd care to elaborate on those comments. And were those comments based on your own religious addictions, since we're talking about addictions?
What comments were those? Because I never spoke on gays or gay rights.
They didn't say you solely spoke on gay rights.
I
They just said
didn't
that you
mention
made a
them.
parting comment about a gay marriage ordinance in the city of Cathedral City.
No, I didn't.
You did not.
I mean, I didn't. I don't even remember the issue really coming up. Do you? Betty was there too.
You saying anything about that?
I wrote about fire suppression and taxes, which is a big issue for all of us. Yes.
When are you coming up for election?
3 years.
Are you going to have Lou Sheldon help you?
No, Lou didn't help me the last time. I don't think
Well,
really
I
need
thought maybe
help.
means you've got this relationship or whatever going with him now.
No, I don't. And
Would
he
you-
didn't help
would
me
you-
in my last council election either.
If some type of major battle came up where you wanted big support from Lou Sheldon, would you ask him for support?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, what I'm trying to get at is earlier you were saying you don't think you should legislate your morals on other people, but that's all Lou Sheldon stands for, and basically I see you just as a smaller version of Lou Sheldon.
Well, that's again your opinion, but Lou is busy other places.
Related to that...
wait, can you wait just...
Yeah, just 1 second,
Okay.
sure. Go right ahead.
Jim?
Carol, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
Number 1, I'm going to give you the one that's the least, let's say, problematic. In Palm
That's all right.
Springs, in Palm Springs, there's a graffiti ordinance that helps people who have had their business, homes, property destroyed or at least disfigured by graffiti. Is Cathedral City going to do something about that in regards to also gang cleanup?
We have discussed the graffiti at the last 2 council meetings, and we came up with a plan to ask retired painters and paint stores and things like that to help paint over the graffiti. That was one of our plans. Today, Cape Palm, did you hear about this today? Cape Palm came out and started painting and helping us clean up our city, and it was terrific. I would really like to see my own personal, and this is not the council version, it's my own personal version, is everybody pitching in and helping. I had graffiti right out on my corner, and my kids and I got a bucket of paint, and we're going to go down and paint it ourselves, you know. And but the concern of the council is that if people just go willy-nilly out there painting graffiti off, that the paint might not match. It may bleed through the paint, and the business owners may get more upset about that than they were about the graffiti. So that was an ongoing discussion at our council meetings. You were there about the...
Also today, ex-gang members helped Cape Palm 106 paint over the graffiti that they had put on walls themselves. That was
terrific.
on TV.
That's terrific. I know they do that in El Monte, and Indio is trying to do that too, is getting kids that have come out of juvenile hall and getting them to paint graffiti because it works better. The kids know who did the graffiti. The kids go to the people who did the graffiti and say, I don't want to see your name one more time on this wall. So they have more of an impact, I think, than just people painting over it. So.
Now my second question
Yes.
is the zinger. I'm going to ask you to remember when you were campaigning, you received a call from me, and I played the game of being a straight man with 2 children living in Cathedral Cove. 2 children being Jason and Melissa. I don't know if you remember that. But even though I was, in quotes, a closet straight at the time, asking you all these things, I was asking you, or stating that I do believe in democracy, and I do believe in people's rights, and the idea of you and your ties with Lou Sheldon are very upsetting to me.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I also posed the question, with the human rights ordinance on the books in Cathedral City, would that be a problem, and would that be a fight that you would actually go after? And your statement to me at that time was, we will not fight it at that time, or at this time when you were campaigning. That leads me to believe that you are planning on something for a future date.
No, you know what? It hasn't even entered my mind. You know, I'm going to tell you something. I know this is an issue with you, and it's really a concern of yours. But we are living in a city right now, I mean, just to take it off the gay issue for just a second, we're living in a city right now that has a $3.3 million deficit. We have got to figure out if we're going to cut firemen, if we're going to, how we're going to meet our budget. Are we going to bankrupt our city? What are we going to do? Are we going to raise your taxes? Are we going to raise your... I would encourage all of you to really be there at this next study session, which is on Tuesday at 2 o'clock, where they're going to be discussing how much money they're going to raise your businesses to be. Wait 1 second. And we also have a concern here of trash, what it's going to cost our city for recycling and all of this dumping and We also have a concern about disaster preparedness. I mean, these are issues that I am really, really involved in, and something that I spend a lot of time on. And so Lou and going on a whole nother fight on repealing an ordinance, you know, that is already in place and it's not making that much controversy, is not on my agenda. I mean, my agenda is to really improve this community and try my hardest to get the money that we need to continue services like code enforcement and graffiti and drive-by shootings, and that affects all of our lives. And we need to be, also the Mountain Conservancy. I'm on the board of the Mountain Conservancy and the National Scenic Area, trying to get $30 million to buy these mountains. I went to Sacramento for 2 days lobbying for those kind of things. So, I mean, that's what I'm spending my time on.
Do we sublimate our issues of human rights then for these other issues?
No.
I think this is far greater, far greater concern to us as human beings in this country. Right now we're living in a garrison state, not only in Palm Springs, but in California and much of the United States in general. This is the mentality that rules, and it's because of this, again, benign influence of people like yourself that we find ourselves in this position. We yield some of our rights to you because you express a concern for our well-being. What winds up happening is we become more disliked, more abhorred by the population in general. And that's the thing that scares me. The other issues you address are appropriately addressed by someone in your position, but it does not take away from the fact that you need, first of all, to concern yourself with the primary basis of life in this country, which is freedom. And that's the kind of thing that we're constantly trumpeting, but we give very little real effort to holding on to and promoting. And that's what I'm interested in.
Yes.
I have 2 questions. Number one, the city has this tremendous debt. It
Yeah.
didn't have it 7 years ago, or 8 years ago. All of a sudden, the bedroom community has moved in. It's been a taxation on the fire department, the police department. The bedrooms communities do not pay for themselves. You have really 4 ways to go. You can bring in big industry. That's what supports a bedroom community. You can go along and let things go as they are, go deeper in debt, or you can have your corner shops and things and collect the money you can get from them. I don't see why you're wasting the time to fight the things you're fighting when you've got drug gangs out there, and I have fought the drug gangs. Something where you could really do something that amounted to something. It looks to me like you're not doing anything to really help the community. Now, one other thing. Ophelia Bringus had the auction. You were there at the auction, Boys and Girls Club auction, and she got money from the
Worldwide bookstores.
Yeah, and you called it dirty money.
No, I didn't call it dirty money. Mayor Hillary called it dirty money.
That was the mayor. Huh? Well, whoever called it dirty money, the city has been living on dirty money for years here.
Greg?
One more question, and Carol, let's go with a question, not a political statement.
Back here.
Yes.
Carol, a couple of things. You recently had a full-page coverage in the Press Enterprise, I believe, you know, color photo and where you stood.
Yes.
There's one thing about the things you say that disturb me. I've had the rare privilege of meeting Lou Sheldon head-to-head in combat for a good number of years. And you strike out the word homosexual and place adult businesses. Other than that, you sound like a recording or a Xerox of Lou Sheldon. That disturbs me very much. Secondly, I defy you. The question is, name one psychiatric bit of evidence that links pornography with any violent crime. Name one.
I know, I can't think of the... I'll say Dr. James Dobson is a psychologist. Dobson was on the National Council Against Pornography, President Bush's Council Against Pornography and Studying Pornography. And whether it's, you know, you think it's against or not, but the counsel for the president was studying the effects of pornography. When Ted Bundy, did you hear his? Well, I mean, I'm sorry, but I take that. They said that the only link. Okay, we have it. I am going to bring it here. Greg will have it. You can pick it up at my office, or I'll bring it here. And I have a stack of just what you're saying, from all kinds of medical journals and everything. So I would like you to come and get it, really, because I do have it. I wish I had brought. I wasn't expecting. I guess I didn't know what to expect. Oh. Thank you very much. Well, I'll tell you what, our chamber is swearing in its members tonight for the first time in like 5 years. Gary Ray's being sworn in as president. We have and it's a whole dinner that started at 7:30 at the Desert Princess. And if you wouldn't mind, I really need to show my support there for the chamber. And I'm already 45.
More than welcome.
Well, we'll see, yeah. I mean, that's fine. If you want me back, that's fine.
Thank you very much. If the news media needs to speak to Mrs. Englehart, you can do it in the front lobby. Before everybody takes off, a couple things. You were handed a survey or need to pick one up that we would like you to fill out to rate tonight and the presentation and some suggestions that you might have for future forums. There is a box out in the lobby. Those of you that would like to contribute to help keep the center open, we'd love to have you drop a little something in there. And we're going to take a 10-minute break, and then there will be a meeting of the Gay Pride Steering Committee. Everyone is welcome to come and participate in that.